Now, using the method you teach in your book, realistically, how long will it take to someone to design and begin manifesting their ideal life?
It depends. It's different for each person. What I recommend people do is I recommend they read the books for study and they listen to the audio for speed, because the audio gives them a lot and it keeps them going. And then the books study or use the videos, whatever. Right? Okay. So let me give you some exact results. Instantly, within well, as you say, within 2 or 3 pages, you're instantly seeing results.
Yeah.
But you're not doing this to get to the end of the book. You know, you're doing this to get success, achieve. That's what you're doing it for. And it can be different things. So let's say you're somebody that worries, and that's your biggest problem. Well, that gets covered in chapter 6, I think it is. So that, you know, that gets cured early on, right? But if it's something like you're too busy and you're rushing around and that sort of thing, well, that's probably about chapter 27 or 28 when we fix that. Do you see what I mean? So it can take a little bit longer, but this isn't something where...
It depends on the situation. It depends on the problem they want to fix, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've seen people, I did it myself in 3 weeks. I've seen other people do it inside a month and things like that. So but they're the earliest ones, but most people, you'll see results instantly. And it's not so much you're looking for the end result, you're just looking for progress. And the problem is, when we go to a book and we think, well, we're going to get this, and that's what we're going to get from the book. And then we get the book and we think, yes, brilliant, we're learning this. And at the end of it, we don't see the progress. And so that's the problem. That's the disheartening book. So then the ego goes, the answer you're looking for isn't in that book that you've just read. It must be in the next book. So go and read that book. And so you go from book to book to book to book. Whereas what happens with this is you make progress immediately. So within the first hour, within the first day, you're having epiphany moments coming through where all of a sudden you see, I've been thinking that way. Well, I should have been thinking like that. And it's not stuff that you're being told what to think. So I'm not preaching. I'm just explaining. You know, people say to me, most of the stuff you taught me in the book I already knew, but I didn't trust my own judgment on so many things. Whereas, you know, what I do is I explain it in such a way where your judgment is you're usually right. Because remember, we were all naturally once successful. So we all naturally knew all of this stuff automatically. It's only the programming that's been dumped into us, you know, that hasn't worked. You know, I used to use the analogy quite frequently where the reason people couldn't succeed was the mind is like a computer, and so it's full of bugs. And so if you try and load new software, so you go and take Rich Dad Poor Dad and you try and load that new software, which is brilliant, into a mind that's a computer that's full of bugs, well, you can't do it. You have to get rid of the bugs first. You have to kill off the bugs. But people have been trained that pouring in more information is the answer. It isn't. Yeah. It's removal of the bugs, having a static mind, having a mind that can process things and have structure to it, have the structured thought, then equates to the end result, because you then put Rich Dad Poor Dad in and it teaches you 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the techniques, and you'll just go straight out there and do it. And that's it. That's the difference. Once you realise that it's worthy of your time to remove the self-sabotage that's in your mind, then all of a sudden time ceases to be of much importance, because it's very easy for people to look back at the years they've spent attempting to get somewhere and have got next to no results. And then when they go through this process, they just look at it. They do. I did a couple of examples in that Mastering the Law of Attraction book. One of the guys in there, Phil Wyatt, it's amazing. He'd been doing it. He started reading it just like anybody else does. Reads the first 5 free chapters or something like that, and then just gets going into it, and then thought, no, this is it. I'm gonna study this. And then the results he's got, as I say in that book, are just amazing. In under 3 years, living in his dream home, increased his income, increased his number of customers by huge amounts and that sort of thing. Has the most pleasurable life. His family, his kids call him more often. He's got a perfect relationship. He goes on 3 or 4 holidays a year, and all this has happened, and he has no more pain in life. And he says, I've been doing it for 3 years now. He says, it's pretty difficult to see how my life could get much better than it is. So it's you see instant results which keep you going, but as you say, it's like a drug. So you want to do more and learn more and learn more. One of my close friends is doing it himself, and he only lives down the road about 200-300 yards away from me at the moment. And he said it's just addictive. You just pick it up, and it's like you're learning something, and you've read the same thing before, and this time you understand it to another level. You know what I mean there? Yeah. So you'll learn the same thing that you've read before, but now because your understanding of it, you've gone out into life, and your mind is not at the same place as it was when you read it 2 months before. You read it again, and all of a sudden it has a completely different situation for you because your mind's moved on.
Yeah, and one of the things that I learned from the book was that once you stop rushing, you can actually see results faster, right? And this is some of the achievements that that I had last month, for example, because right now I'm actually writing down all the achievements that I have every month. And last month was the first time, to be honest, since we came back from Las Vegas, which has been I don't know, a couple of months or 3-4 months, I can't remember. I have seen, well, first of all, I felt like, a weight was taken away off my shoulders. So because I was feeling stuck, but I wasn't stuck because you can't be stuck. You either move forward or, you go towards your goal or you're taken away from it, right? So nothing stands still, right? So, but I felt like I put that weight out of my shoulders and that something was pulling me back. And now I'm actually feeling that I'm walking normally, like I'm actually can walk. And this was the first time I have seen a massive, growth in my businesses, as I said. But one of the things that I actually liked was that it was the first time that I made the leaderboard for a millionaire. This millionaire was launching this product, and that was the first time in my life that I actually was in that leaderboard where he sent this email to everyone, and that was my name. I was like, oh crap, that's me. And I saw your name as well. And as I said to you, I was kissing your ass because I was right behind you, man. I was this close. But that was a huge achievement for me. And I know that from now on it's just grow. I can only go forward. That's awesome.
Oh, it gets better. Seriously, it's a cumulative effect. And so what happens is all of a sudden, it's you just keep building on it. So if you imagine, I've been thinking this way now. I've been thinking it all my life, but I've really had it turned on to a process because it happened by accident before. Since 2000, back end of 2009, I've had this process in place, and it's amazing. I manifested getting a country to ask me to put it into their education system. Yeah, it doesn't get much bigger manifestation than that. We've had 4 other countries approach us, and we've had somebody else approach us that apparently is going to introduce us to 2 of the most famous people in America, who are 2 of the wealthiest people in the world, so who are interested in it as well, right? But all of this comes from the cumulative effect of understanding, not having any baggage in your mind. There's nothing to drag me down. So if there's, as you say, you can just walk forward because there's nothing to drag you down. The problem is people don't realise that they're carrying a massive weight, and they're carrying it already. Everybody thinks that they're normal. They're not. They've got a few issues in life and that sort of thing. But when they go through the process, they go, "Oh no, I've been doing this to myself for years." Right, and that's what it does. It's from a marketing point of view, it's actually quite difficult to sell to people because you actually have to go, well, people have to go, well, there could be something wrong with me. Yeah. Because when you go into it, you go, oh, this is wonderful, right? Because now all of a sudden you can see what you couldn't see before. And there was a great line in a film, Heartbreak Ridge, Clint Eastwood, and he said, you can't fix it if you can't see it's broken. Yeah. Right? And the problem is that people are trying to fix things, but they can't see what's broken, but they're trying to fix it anyway. And so they're trying to fix things that don't need to be fixed. The things they're trying to fix might already be fixed. But because the thing they need to fix isn't visible to them, how can they fix it? And that's what the process does. The process weeds out all of the invisible problems that are holding people back.
That's awesome.
If someone wants to really up-level their standard of the quality of life, their vision of personal growth and achievement in terms of business success or family relationships or personal growth, I mean, it's phenomenal. It is transformative.
Since reading the books, I don't judge people. I don't worry about anything. I've got the techniques to, if anything comes into my mind, I think, well, that's not helping me. So I don't worry. I don't get stressed. I live in the now, and just a lot more peaceful. And I just feel that life's going the right way.
I have found out that things like stress, fear, anxiety, these things are illusions. And when situations come up in your life, if you can actually just refer back to at least learning those things that you've learned through the books, it makes your life much easier. It makes your life better, and it starts, in my case, to put me on a better path.
As everything really valuable in life, most things are really simple, and it's all about finding the things that you love to do, and the financial benefit is a byproduct of that. Yeah.
Who he is being just speaks volumes. There's a wisdom, there's a knowledge, and there's a real generous sharing of the heart that comes across that makes all the difference in the world.
So his philosophy is different to other personal development books because he shows the practical way of personal development or his concept.
And one useful thing I've done through reading the books is to actually stop watching TV like a robot, and it's freed up time for me to do things like read books, which I think will do me far more good than just sitting in front of the TV watching a whole string of programs that I never even remember or do me any good,
My mind had been shifted significantly. I understand more about a lot of things. My mind opened more, and I know for sure that by applying these techniques, I'm living my design.
I like the way he delivered it in simple language so that the lay person in it can understand.
There's a system in place that shows us that if we, follow these steps and apply it with vigilance and commitment, it's possible to have a real powerful transformation.
Since I've read the books, my worries and fears have all gone. I am 100% happier, and I live my life to the full.
So it gives you a purpose and a sort of focus, and perhaps a start and end point, so you know exactly where you're going to. Because the hardest part of any journey is actually taking the first step.
So, yeah, I do know that it's going to change things radically on all fronts. Whatever you want can happen, actually.
Just do it. It's just to take you to that level. You'll know what you want, or if you don't know what you want, you'll know how to find out what you want. You'll know how to get the things that you want in your life, and you'll have great fun.
We can learn and understand things, but when we actually learn to know it and integrate it and apply it in what we're doing in our lives, anything is possible, and that is so exciting.